They called me cruel, my own mother, my aunts, my cousins, all of them, standing in my kitchen like it was a courtroom and I was the one on trial. "You're destroying this family," my mother said. Her voice had that shake in it, the one she used when she wanted me to feel like I was 12 years old again. "After everything we've done for you?" I didn't say anything at first, just stood there by the sink with a coffee mug in my hand that hadn't held coffee for an hour. The dishwasher was running. My wife had taken the kids to her parents for the weekend so I could deal with this. Her words. She knew what was coming. Aunt Teresa was there too, and my cousin Marcus, and my Uncle Ray, who hadn't worked a full-time job since 2014. Ray leaned against my fridge like he owned it. Maybe he thought he did. I'd paid for that fridge. I'd paid for a lot of things. "We're not asking for a handout," Marcus said, which was funny, because that's exactly what he was doing. He needed $6,000 by Tuesday. His landlord was evicting him. Again, third time in 2 years. Marcus is 34, healthy, sharp, just never learned to hold down a job. Why would he? Someone always bailed him out. "We're asking for help," Aunt Teresa corrected. She's good at that. The gentle reframing. Make it sound like community, like family, like obligation. I looked at each of them. Really looked. My mother in her good coat, the one I bought her last Christmas. Aunt Teresa's nails, done last Thursday, $60 plus tip. Uncle Ray's new sneakers. Marcus's iPhone 15 Pro Max. Everything funded directly or indirectly by me. For years. Decades. "Do you want to know what I think is cruel?" I said. They waited. "I think it's cruel that I worked 60-hour weeks through my entire 20s while you all went on vacations. I think it's cruel that I put off having kids until I was 35 because I was too busy paying for Marcus's lawyer fees and Uncle Ray's business ventures and Mom's constant emergencies. I think it's cruel that my wife had to return her engagement ring because I couldn't afford that and a new roof for Mom's house at the same time." My mother's face tightened. "That ring thing was your choice. Nobody asked you to. You asked me to pay for the roof. You called me crying, said you'd lose the house. So yeah, I made a choice. And then you went to Florida 3 weeks later. Remember that? Postcards. You sent me postcards." She didn't answer. Here's the thing about financial abuse in families. It doesn't look like abuse. Not at first. It looks like help. Like pulling together. Like being the responsible one. And then one day you wake up and you're 42 years old with nothing saved for retirement because you've been bankrolling 10 able-bodied adults who act like you owe them something. Let me back up. I'm the oldest daughter. That matters. In my family, oldest daughters don't belong to themselves. They belong to everyone. I learned this young. When I got my first job at 16, my mom took my paychecks for household expenses. That lasted until I moved out at 19. By then, I'd handed over something like 12 grand. Maybe more. I didn't think much of it then. It's just what you did. My grandmother did the same for her mother. My aunt did it for hers. It was the pattern. The oldest girl works, the money flows up and sideways, and nobody ever asks where it goes. The difference was that I got out. Not out, not entirely. But I went to college on scholarships and loans. I worked 3 jobs. I met my wife. We built something. She's a nurse. I run a small construction subcontracting business. Together, we clear about 160 a year, which sounds like a lot until you're supporting multiple households. Because that's what it became, not just helping, supporting. Mom retired at 58, couldn't afford it. I made up the difference. Aunt Teresa got divorced, needed a place to stay for 6 months, stayed 3 years. Uncle Ray had his back problems and couldn't work. Marcus just didn't. And every time I tried to pull back, the guilt machine kicked in. "You're so successful. We're so proud of you. Family helps family. Don't you want to share your blessings? After all we did for you." That last one was my favorite. What did they do for me? What exactly? I put myself through school. I paid my own rent at 19. I never asked for a dime. But in their minds, the simple act of existing as a family unit meant I owed them. Forever. The breaking point came in 2026, not because of one big thing, because of 1,000 small things. My wife's car died, transmission, 4 grand to fix. We had the money, barely, but it meant dipping into the kids' college fund again. We'd done that 3 times already. Once for Mom's roof, once for Uncle Ray's medical bills, which turned out to be a timeshare he got scammed into, once for Marcus's DUI lawyer. I said no. Not to the car, to the family. I told my wife first. Sat her down at our kitchen table, the same one where I'd just faced my relatives, and I said, "I'm done. I can't do it anymore." She cried. Not because she was sad, because she was relieved. She'd been waiting for me to say it for years. Then I told my mother, "I can't help anymore. Not with money. I've got my own family to think about." She laughed. Actually laughed, like I'd told a joke. "You're being dramatic," she said. "Nobody's asking you to—" "Mom, I'm serious. The bank is closed." Long pause. Then her voice went cold in a way I'd never heard before. "So that's it? After everything?" "What everything? What did you do for me? Tell me one thing." She couldn't. Not one thing. She started crying instead. Said I was breaking her heart. Said I was turning my back on God. Said my grandmother would be ashamed. That was the first call. The calls kept coming. From everyone. My aunt said I was punishing the family. My cousin said I was hoarding wealth. My uncle said I'd gotten too big for your britches, a phrase I hadn't heard since I was 10, and refused to share my Halloween candy. They tried everything. Guilt. Mom's blood pressure is up. The doctor says stress. You're killing her. Shame. Everyone in the family is talking about you. They can't believe how selfish you've become. Gaslighting. We never asked you for that much. You're exaggerating. You always were so dramatic. Bargaining. Okay, fine, just the mortgage this month. Just this once. Then we'll figure something out. Threats. Don't bother coming to Thanksgiving if this is how you're going to be. I didn't go to Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or my cousin's baby shower. I was uninvited from all of it. Then invited again. Then uninvited. Exhausting. My wife said to block them, just for a while. Give myself space. I couldn't. I kept hoping someone would snap out of it. Call and say, "You know what? You're right. We've been taking advantage. We're sorry." That call never came. Instead, the smear campaign started. Facebook posts about family betrayal. Group chats I wasn't in, saying I'd changed and money went to my head. My own mother told her church prayer circle that I'd abandoned her, that I'd left her to starve. She wasn't starving. She had her pension. She had Social Security. She had my aunt living with her, rent-free, both of them capable of working. They just didn't want to. Why would they? For years I'd been the safety net, the infinite resource, the oldest daughter who couldn't say no. Until I did. The collapse was faster than I expected. 3 months. That's how long it took for everything to fall apart. Marcus got evicted. Actual eviction. Sheriff showed up and everything. He called me from a motel, screaming. Said I'd ruined his life. Said he'd never forgive me. Uncle Ray's truck got repossessed. He'd stopped making payments 6 months earlier, assuming I'd cover it. I didn't. He called me a word I won't repeat here. Then he called back and apologized and asked for a loan. Then he called again and called me the same word when I said no. Mom's house went into pre-foreclosure. That one hurt. I almost caved. Almost. But my wife held my hand and showed me the spreadsheet, the one I'd made 2 years ago, tracking every dollar I'd given them, nearly 90 grand over 8 years, and that was just the direct transfers, not counting the times I paid bills directly or bought groceries or handled emergencies. $90,000. And they had nothing to show for it. No savings, no assets, no plan, just a bottomless hole I'd been filling with my own blood. The hardest part was the isolation. You don't realize how much of your identity is wrapped up in being the helper until you stop helping. I felt guilty every single day. Still do sometimes. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and think, what if Mom really does lose the house? What if Marcus ends up on the street? What if I'm wrong? But then I'd remember the Florida trip, the new sneakers, the manicured nails, the iPhone, the way they looked at me in my kitchen like I was the villain for having boundaries. I wasn't wrong. It's been 8 months now. I still talk to some of them. My mother calls every few weeks. The calls are shorter now, less angry, more sad. She got a job, part-time at a craft store. First time she's worked in 12 years. She hates it, but she's paying her mortgage. Barely. Uncle Ray moved in with his sister in another state. Got a job at a warehouse. Claims his back is better now. Funny how that works. Marcus is couch surfing. I don't know where he is right now. He stopped calling after I blocked him the 3rd time. And me? I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm not rich. I'm still paying off debt I shouldn't have had to take on. But my kids have a college fund now. A real one. My wife and I are talking about a vacation. Just us. First one in 6 years. I still get called cruel sometimes, usually by people who don't know the whole story. People who hear she cut off her family and fill in the blanks with their own assumptions. That's fine. Let them think what they want. The people who matter know the truth. And the people who don't? They were never really family to begin with, just parasites who got comfortable. I didn't destroy that house of cards, I just stopped holding it up and watching it fall. That wasn't cruel. That was gravity.